I want to ask all of you as a final, Julia, I'll start with you on this. Do you have any favorite personal stories? I got to imagine you have just a ton of them, each one of you. But is there any one in particular about your experience at the Rio Grande Sun that really jumps out at you?
Gene, it's funny because I thought they're probably going to ask me that, and so I went and dug up all my old papers to try
Nice.
to read through them. And I don't know if Michael told me I'm being romantic, but I feel like every week it was just your mind was being blown. There was just there was nonstop stories. But a story that I tell frequently is the night that Amelia Naranjo lost. Was it a runoff vote, Mike, to Arturo
Yeah.
Rodarte? And Amelia, who was sort of really like well, you know who he is. I don't have to explain. Sort of ran Democratic politics there, notoriously never answered the phone, and it was pouring rain. And Bob and Mike said, well, you're just going to have to go to his trailer and knock on the door. And I was like, all right. And I went, and I mean, it was pouring, and I knocked on the door. And Amelia opened the door, and he goes, little girl, what are you doing, little girl? Are you okay? Do you need help? And I said, I was hoping to get a comment from you for the Sun about the loss of the election. He goes, shame on you, little girl. Shame on you. And yeah.
Oh, good Lord, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Only at local papers you hear this kind of stuff, folks. You know what I mean? That's it. Mike, any personal stories for you? A long time. Anyone jump
Yeah,
out at you?
well, yeah. I mean, my kind of claim to fame was the Ricky Abeda mass shooting in Chimayo, which 7 people were killed, including 2 officers and a little baby.
Right.
And I was sitting at my sister's house when I heard about it over the weekend and drove in, and there were reporters from everywhere there. They all had cell phones. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything like that. But I had good connections, and so I was able to cover that and write like crazy for that issue. We ended up selling 14,000 papers, which was the record for the Rio Grande Sun, and we probably could have sold 16,000 if Bob had made the press run. But anyway, that was the biggest thing. It was huge news in Rio Arriba, and I covered that all the way from sitting in front of Ricky Abeda's house, wondering if he had a sniper rifle on my head or not, to all through the trial when he ended up not getting the death penalty based on Gary Mitchell's defense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting point there. Boy, that case was red hot. Oh boy, I remember that very clearly. Tabitha Clay, you're now with the paper, of course. Any particular stories jump out at you from your time at the Rio Grande Sun?
I think the one that I remember most, as a Cops and Courts reporter, you listen to the scanner all day at the Sun. And I heard one of the sheriff's deputies call out that he was at the high school and needed an ambulance because he had just tased a kid. And I remember going, oh my gosh. And then it ended up being the deputy that was later criminally charged. So it was a pretty big deal.
Wow. And once again, you get to do that kind of stuff at a small paper. It's like it's magic. I'm jealous, actually, is what I'm saying here. Mike, I do have one more question. The same question I asked Robert. I think I want to kind of get your all's take on this too. Is Espanola a better place for your efforts?
I mean, I love Espanola. I still love it. Great little community. It's in the middle of beautiful area and lots of really nice people. I always tell people that Espanola is much more Mayberry RFD than you realize from our reporting, from everybody else's reporting, jokes, all that kind of stuff. But I think Espanola, I think with the Sun, I can't claim credit myself, but I think it was just because people look to us, really look to us as a watchdog, we were able to get a lot of good things done. I think Espanola is still a great community and is doing well. I think there may be some local politicians who think that they're going to escape the watchdog of the Sun, and that may well happen. But I hope it doesn't. I really do, because it's just, there's just so many issues, lots of corruption, lots of, those kind of things where you really are making a difference. Going to a school board meeting or going to the county commissioners meeting and that sort of thing, where you really do find nuggets and expose the truth.
Julia, same thing. You did a lot of good work there. You still do a lot of good work in the area, certainly for the paper you're right now. Does a paper improve a community? Is that what happens when you do the work of it?
I think so. I mean, like Mike, I love Espanola and I love Rio Arriba County, and I feel like my understanding of northern New Mexico is so shaped by the time I spent at the Sun and the time I spent in those communities. And I mean, I think the stories, that you do at the Sun, the stories I did on the grand jury investigation of the county clerk and the firing of the Espanola High School, they get a lot of they get a lot of attention. But the Sun also, I went out and interviewed every salutatorian and every valedictorian and the parents of the first child of the year, and went to the rodeo and went to all of that. And I think, you're not going to have that on a Facebook page. You're not going to have reporters running around trying to really document the life of a community. So I think so.
Yeah. Tabitha, the same question could apply certainly with the paper you're right now, but during your time there, it's like the old theory, you leave things better than when you found it. Was that part of your thought process as well, when you were in Espanola?
I think that's generally tries to be part of my thought process everywhere.
Right.
I think ultimately what the Sun does is it gives people the information they need to improve their community in the way that they want to. I mean, it doesn't fix things for them, but it, provides the information, and then they can take action based on that.
I love that. I absolutely love that.